In our last conversation, we spent a lot of time on whether academia measures what truly matters. But that brings up an even more urgent question for today's world. Does it actually connect what truly matters?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? The world's most pressing problems, climate change, pandemics, you name it, they are fundamentally interdisciplinary. They just don't respect the neat, tidy boxes we built in our institutions.
And that really gets to the heart of what we're exploring today. In a VUCA world, one that's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous, maybe survival depends less on disciplinary depth alone, and a great deal more on connection.
So let's frame this debate. First, I'm going to make the case for silos. Then, we'll look at the very real walls that keep them in place. From there, we'll dive into the power of connection, and we'll wrap up by thinking about how we might design the bridges we so clearly need.
Okay, so let's start with a strong defense. Silos are not just an accident of history. They exist for a very good reason. They are there to protect academic rigor, to enable deep specialization, and to forge a clear disciplinary identity. I mean, just think about it. You wouldn't expect a biologist, an economist, and a historian to use the same lens to view the world, and they shouldn't. Each discipline has its own unique methods, its own language, its own standards of evidence. This specialization is the very bedrock of academic integrity.
That's a completely fair point, but here's the core tension, isn't it? Those same walls that do such a good job of protecting rigor can also end up imprisoning relevance. When you look at these huge, complex global challenges, like AI ethics or climate finance, the problem isn't a lack of expertise, it's a lack of connection between those experts.
And that highlights the precise risk. We simply cannot afford to lose that hard-won disciplinary depth. This rush towards interdisciplinarity can sometimes lead to what's been called intellectual tourism, a sort of shallow visit to another field without ever really learning its language or methods.
But what if we're aiming for the wrong thing? The goal shouldn't be to create tourists. It should be to develop translators. You see the difference? When interdisciplinarity is done well, it doesn't dilute expertise. It integrates it. It's the difference between creating noise and creating harmony.
Okay, but let's get practical for a moment, because this is where theory hits reality. Universities are built around departments, funding models, and promotion criteria, all of which are designed to reward people for staying squarely within their field.
And these aren't just minor hurdles. They are powerful incentives pushing people to play it safe. An academic, especially one early in their career, genuinely risks their own progression if the brilliant interdisciplinary work they're doing doesn't tick the right boxes on a performance review or fit into a traditional funding application.
And that's exactly the problem. Our academic systems were designed for a stable, predictable world that rewarded certainty. But the VUCA world we actually live in rewards collaboration, adaptability, and the ability to navigate ambiguity. There's a fundamental mismatch between the system and the reality.
Which brings us to the big question, who changes the rules? Well, it has to be leadership, doesn't it? It falls to university leaders to redefine what excellence actually means for the institution. After all, it's not the walls themselves that hold us back, it's what we continue to celebrate inside them.
All right, I see the argument, but let's make this concrete. Can you give me a real-world example where this kind of collaboration has led to a genuine breakthrough?
Absolutely. Look at the intersection of data science and healthcare. When you combine massive health data sets with clinical expertise, you get predictive analytics that can identify patients at risk of sepsis, sometimes hours before a doctor might see the signs. That's a life-saving breakthrough that neither field could ever achieve on its own.
Or take the fusion of behavioral economics and public policy. Just by understanding the quirks of human psychology, governments have been able to design small nudges that lead to far better societal outcomes, everything from how we save for retirement to public health campaigns.
And perhaps most urgently today, you just have to look at technology and ethics. You simply cannot build responsible AI with technologists working in isolation. The biggest breakthroughs of the future won't belong to a single discipline. They are going to emerge from exactly these kinds of intersections.
That's very persuasive. So what we're really saying is that we don't need to abandon our disciplines. We need to link them far more deliberately. We need to make this kind of connected thinking a default mindset, not just an optional exercise for the adventurous few.
Exactly. The path forward isn't about dismantling our core strengths. It's about becoming better architects. It's about designing bridges that are strong enough for the most powerful ideas to travel safely between our disciplines.
So this completely reframes the debate.
The question isn't really, should we move beyond silos anymore, is it? It's become, can we afford not to? In the world we're in now, it feels less like a choice and more like a necessity for survival.
And if that's the case, then maybe the future university isn't just a collection of departments that happen to share a campus. It's a true ecosystem of connection, designed from the ground up for collaboration and a shared sense of purpose. Now that is a powerful vision.
It is, because ultimately, in the VUCA world, survival isn't about defending the silo, it's about designing the bridge. And that right there is the central challenge for every academic leader today.